let's talk about emotions. Emotions. So I think, and this is kind of watching my own space, this is watching my clients, my students, that the emotional part of healing, when we hit a downward trajectory, is the fastest way that we lose our sense of self, our positive trajectory in life. It's the fastest way. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't be sad. It doesn't mean we can't grieve for things. It doesn't mean we can't cry. In fact, quite the opposite. We need to have those emotions. That is the human existence, and we need that balance, but it's when we get stuck there. And this usually happens when we get triggered by something. So if something happens in life, and and I can speak from personal example because I go through this a lot, and I would say it's my Achilles heel. This is probably my biggest Achilles heel, is the emotions flare up in reaction to something, and I get stuck. And I see this in other people too. They get stuck. They get stuck in that space, and then everything starts to go down. Because if we stay in a vibration for too long, that is going to start to create our reality in moving forwards. So if something happens and we feel angry, or we feel triggered, let's say triggered, I think that's probably, maybe we feel put out, maybe we feel left out of something. You know, FOMO is a popular term, isn't it, for a lot of things in today's world. But if we stay in, and that's fine, you know, feel it for sure. But if we stay in that space, then we are going to start to build our reality from that emotional vibration. So we have to feel the feeling, and then we have to shift, but we have to authentically shift. This is the key. It's being super happy sunshine, which I love that phrase, and I love being like that, is only works if it's an authentic shift. If you are doing that and that is not really how you're feeling, it becomes toxic positivity, which means actually all you're doing is wallpapering over the cracks of something going on, and you've got to release what's underneath to feel that authentic space. So what I like to do is take a deep breath. First thing I do when I notice I am stuck in that feeling, it's like, okay. Then I ask myself, is that really true? Is that really true, that thing that's going on right now? 9 times out of 10, it's not true. And then I say, even if it were true, do I want to stay in that space? Because who's winning here? If I'm reacting to someone else, let's use another person, for example. If I'm reacting to something that's a person thing, because they're not winning. They don't care. I'm certainly not winning because I'm just feeling crap. So it's like, I can choose at that moment to propel out of that space and into a different space. It's like, where would I like to put my attention, my energy, my feelings? How do I want to feel? And usually I have to take my attention off that topic, you know. And I think this is, social media can do this for people. It can trigger people, triggers me all the time. And so this is where we have to learn to kind of lift ourselves out of the emotion. The most wonderful quote I think I have ever heard is from the lovely Melody Beattie, who is no longer with us. Melody Beattie wrote a book called Codependent No More. Check it out. And I remember when I read the book, and this quote changed, I think it's probably single-handedly changed my life. I forget it and I still react, but I come back to it. So Melody said, we can choose how we feel in any moment. And she always said, I choose not to take things personally, even if they're directed at me personally. And I was like, you mean even if somebody throws mud at me, I can decide that actually that's their problem, not mine? You know, even if it is actually going on, because often we perceive things are going on, but they're not. And when I read that statement, I thought, wow, that's power, that's freedom. I can just step, and I always visualize myself stepping out of that mud, stepping aside from that place and into the vibration I want to be in. So I just wanted to share that in case anyone else has sticky emotional things going on or gets stuck there and finds it's tricky to maneuver themselves out of it. think about Melody Beattie and that wonderful phrase. Even if you don't know how to change it in the moment, just focusing on that phrase is going to make a difference. So have a lovely day. If you want to chat further on emotions, or you find yourself struggling and you really can't figure out how to maneuver, get in touch. I work one-to-one with women. Sessions start at £90 and I love it. Have a good day. Bye.